When we look at box office numbers, we usually just see the headlines, right? The biggest winners, the biggest flops. But what if we dug a little deeper? Because the complete box office data from March 2026, well, it tells this hidden story about what's really happening in our movie theaters. So let's pull back the curtain and see what those numbers are actually telling us.
Okay, right off the bat, the numbers are just jaw-dropping. At the very top, you've got Project Hail Mary, which pulled in over $169 million in 1 month. And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the 136th film on the list, All You Need Is Kill, grossed, wait for it, $80. Seriously, not 80,000, 80. That's like barely enough to cover the popcorn for the cast and crew.
So this leads to the big question, right? How is this even possible? What kind of marketplace allows a giant blockbuster and a tiny film that made less than $100 to coexist on the exact same chart? Well, to figure that out, we've got to stop looking at it as one single list. Instead, we need to see it as 3 distinct but connected layers.
First up, let's talk about the top of the food chain, the blockbuster battleground. This is where the media lives, where all the marketing money goes, and where hundreds of millions of dollars are on the line.
And what's really striking here aren't just the massive numbers, but the names behind them. You see Amazon, Disney, Paramount. These are the media giants that have the marketing muscle and the big franchises to pretty much guarantee this level of success. For them, a top 5 movie like GOAT isn't just a film. It's a huge global commercial event.
Yeah, and this chart just shows you the insane scale we're talking about. The top 2 films, Project Hail Mary and Disney's Hoppers, are in a whole different league, both clearing way over $100 million. And even number 3, Scream 7, is an absolute juggernaut. This is the top 1% of the 1%.
So the main takeaway here is that the top of the box office is really all about predictability and power. You've got sequels like Scream 7, huge projects built on stuff we already know, and movies that are designed to appeal to absolutely everyone. This is the powerful engine that drives the industry's bottom line.
But hey, the box office isn't just about those titans. If you look below that top layer, there's this vibrant and really competitive middle ground. This is where you find those indie darlings, the critical hits, and the genre films that build these super passionate fan bases.
And in this space, you've got a whole different set of players running the show. Companies like A24, Neon, and Searchlight, they've absolutely perfected the art of the mid-budget hit. They don't try to beat everything to everyone. Instead, they back critically acclaimed films like A24's Undertone or horror sequels with a built-in audience like Ready or Not 2. They're proving you can totally win without a blockbuster-sized checkbook.
And their whole game plan is totally different. A blockbuster opens everywhere, right? We're talking nearly 4,000 theaters. But a successful mid-tier film, it plays a smarter game, opening in about half that number. It's all about finding the right audience, not just the biggest one right out of the gate. And this is so important because this middle ground is where so many original creative stories get to live. It's the counter-programming to all those blockbusters, and it's absolutely essential for the health and diversity of the whole movie world. It proves you can make a real cultural and financial impact without a superhero's budget.
Okay, now we're going to get into my favorite part. We're venturing into the deep end, the most fascinating and diverse section of the entire list, the long tail. This is where things get really, really interesting. So if you look at the bottom half of the chart, you find this wild, eclectic mix of stuff. A huge chunk of it is re-releases of classic movies, like Kiki's Delivery Service or The Mummy Returns. Then you've got a solid mix of documentaries, concert films, and these super niche indie movies that were made for a very specific audience. And the titles down here, oh man, they're just incredible. I mean, where else are you going to find a film called Hundreds of Beavers playing in the same month as a 9-figure blockbuster? Or how about a feature-length version of a cult web series called Nirvana the Band, the Show, the Movie? Or even a hard-hitting documentary titled Mr. Nobody Against Putin. I mean, this is a world away from the top of the charts, and it just showcases the amazing breadth of what can actually get a theatrical run, no matter how small. So how is this even possible? Well, it all comes down to a strategy called a limited release. Looking at the data, films like Fantasy Life and Our Hero Balthazar played in exactly 1 theater. This isn't about making millions. It's a calculated move, maybe to qualify for awards, or to generate buzz with critics, or sometimes just to serve a tiny but super passionate community that would otherwise never see their film on a big screen. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. What does this 3-layered view of the box office actually tell us about where movies are at today? So when you zoom out, you see these 3 clear layers of modern cinema. At the top, you've got the massive blockbusters acting as the economic engine for the whole industry.
Then, below them, that healthy, competitive middle ground is absolutely crucial for creative diversity and original stories. And finally, that long tail proves that theaters are still a home for art, for niche interests, and for pure passion projects.
In total, 136 different films were on the big screen in March. 136 different stories. And what this data really shows us is that success looks different for every single one of them. It can be $169 million, and it can also be $80. Both are part of the same complex and honestly fascinating picture of movies today.
So there you have it. That's the hidden story inside just 1 month of data. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is this three-tiered system sustainable? Is it healthy? What does the future of the whole movie-going experience really look like to you?